Let's make a moving arm pop-up card. That's what this is. So when you open it up, dun, 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 you have this fancy swing thing happening, and I'm going to show you how to make it. So if you have a kit that I sent to you, in your kit you will have a piece of Blackberry Bliss cardstock scored, and you will fold that and unfold it to make your crease, so you know where your crease is. And then you have 3 pieces in your kit that are the same color, the Blackberry Bliss. And these pieces look a little weird. This one has a whole lot of score lines, and after I prepared them all, I realized that there was an easier way. So instead of showing you all this and tell you what to do with all of this, I'm going to show you an easier way so that you can easily recreate this card at home without all the fussing of all of these score lines and measurements and everything. So I'm going to show you that. This is a 4-inch by 1-inch piece, and then you also have a 1-inch by 3.5-inch piece with score lines on that. And then you have a 1.5 by 1.5-inch piece, which I have scored so that you have a section that you'll cut away. You'll cut on those score lines for that piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these pieces aside, and I'm going to take some pieces that are different colors so that you can easily follow along with how to make it this and how it will all look. And I've chosen lighter colors, so hopefully you'll be able to see the different scoring and everything that I'm going to be doing. All right, let's get this show on the road. So I have my scoring tool from Stampin' Up, my Simply Scored tool. And I have just a regular piece of cardstock. This is just crumb cake, just to have a bunch of different colors and everything. So the 1.5 by 1.5 piece, you can trim on your trimmer. I have this here, so I'm going to do it this way, but I am just scoring a guideline, and you could do it with a pencil and ruler as well. I'm just scoring down from at the 3/4 inch, so halfway between the two. Score down at the 3/4 inch to 3/4, so right to the middle, and then twist it around and do it again. And that's just a guide for me to trim those pieces away. So again, you could just do it on your sliding trimmer, paper trimmer from Stampin' Up or whatever you have, or you can draw this first instead of using your score tool. I had my score tool out, so I used my score tool. So then you're going to end up with this L shape, or backwards L, which is the way we're going to use it. So I'll set that aside. Okay, and then we have our 4-inch by 1-inch piece. And again, I've just picked colors that will be able to distinguish each other and show the score lines and all of that. So this one I am going to score, and I'm going to remind myself of what I'm doing by having my other one handy. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, 1¼ inch, and 3¼ inch. Okay, so that is going to look like this instead of this. So you can see how much easier that is to work with, instead of all these weird lines that you would have to measure. And then I'll show you more about this in a minute. Your third piece is the 1-inch by 3½ inch piece, and that's going to be scored at 1 inch, 2 inches, and 3 inches. That's pretty easy. Okay, I can put my scoring tool aside, my Simply Scored tool. And then I have all of those elements, all of these pieces that we're going to work with. Okay, following it so far, I hope. Okay, so now we're going to take our 4 by 1 inch piece. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold it along this 1 1/4 inch crease line or score line. Okay, so fold it on the score line so that the score line is facing you, that 1/2 inch score line. It's facing up at you, because what you're going to do then is you're going to fold this corner piece down so that this edge is in line with this score line here, like this. So you're just going to fold it down, crease it really well. So you see how it's folded like that. And then unfold it and fold it the other way, just to get the crease on both sides. Okay, so now you open it up and you have your V that we need for this card. That's the working mechanism that's going to be making your card do its fancy dance on the inside. So there you have that. Okay. So then I can kind of manipulate this piece a little bit to get it into the position that I want. It's going to end up in this position so that the fold is pushed to the back. But we don't need it like that right now because we're going to use it inside of our card. So having it flat will actually be easier to work with. So then we can fold our end pieces. So this 1/2 inch piece is going to just fold away from us. Make sure everything is parallel. Okay, and then this 1/2 inch or this 3/4 inch piece is going to fold away from us. Okay, so then you have your whatever shape this is, your side piece shaped foldy thing. That's what we'll call it. Okay, so that's our main mechanism. That's for that swing arm. So then we can take our card that we're going to be putting everything into, open it up so that we have a very clear visual of where our center crease is in our card. And then this piece here, we're going to flip it over like that, right? And it's going to go about 1 1/2 inches from the bottom, right like that. But only, we're going to put adhesive only under this tab. Okay, so I'm going to use my Tombow liquid glue because it's my favorite. And then I'm going to lay that right on this edge of my crease, center crease. Make sure everything is parallel, top and bottom and side. Make sure it's all lined up nicely. Crease that well. Okay, then we can fold it on that second score line. So right in the middle of that V we created, you can fold that there. And then we're going to put adhesive only on this 1/2 inch tab. Like that. Okay. Now that we've done that, we can just hold that in place and fold our cardstock over to attach those pieces together. And then when we open it, we have this parallelogram that allows us to have some action going on, the pop-up action in our card. That's like a base pop-up technique, just having those a rectangular piece of paper glued inside your card to create this parallelogram. All right, so then we can take our other piece that we scored, the 3.5 by 1 inch piece, and we can fold all of those parallel score lines. Okay. And then we can put some adhesive only on the very end 1 inch square. And attach it just above our previous mechanism there. Like that. Now, just like we did with the pink piece of paper, this mechanism, we're going to fold this at the second score line. Okay. And we're going to put adhesive only on the end tab. And then we can fold our card. And pick that up on the inside. And by doing it this way, you know that your card will fold closed. That's important when you're making pop-ups. You want everything to fold and open. And then you have 2 parallelograms. Dun, 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 dun. All right. And that's kind of pretty because I like those colors together. Okay, the next element that we add to the inside of our card is that L shape that we previously cut. So this is going to attach in our V. So we're going to pop our V in so that it's away from us. And then we're going to put adhesive only on the right side of that V. So this little triangle on the right. And then this L shape is going to attach to that V. So it will be flush with the top, with that top part of the V up here, or the top part of that darker pink paper. So it'll be like this. Okay, so you can see now when I close it, that's your action piece in your card. Okay, so that's how you make the basic elements of this card. And the reason why this piece, if you had this in your kit, the reason why this has some extra things happening is just somebody had on their instructions, they had this piece tucked up underneath this one, and so they had to cut out that section. But we don't need that. We have lots of room, so we can use it as is. Okay, so that's your basic working mechanism. So I am going to now go and I'm going to quickly put together the other one. I'm going to stop the video and start again, and then I'll be right back. All right, so with the magic of television, I have finished putting together my Blackberry Bliss version of the same layout. And I just wanted to show with you that you could, when you're putting on this L-shaped piece, you can actually lay everything flat, put your adhesive on that triangle, and just press it. It's easier to kind of press it into place, if you find that helps you. Okay, then pop your corner piece. Make sure your corner piece is popped in. Make sure everything is working. And we're good to go. All right, so then we want to decorate the inside. So first we have a little arm that swings out, if you recall. So this little arm swings out like that. So we're going to glue that together. So you have a piece of Bumblebee cardstock. You have a piece of the Plaid Tidings Designer Series paper, and you have a 1.5 inch circle in Whisper White. So we'll glue together these two elements for the swing arm, and you'll notice that this 3 inch by 1 inch piece of plaid is shorter than the piece you're using. That's okay, because this is all going to be hidden on the left side. And you do have another piece of plaid in your kit that's quite a bit shorter. So you're going to use the longer of, of those two pieces. And then we can stamp our sentiment. We're going to use the happy birthday. With the Melon Mambo ink. If you don't have this stamp, this is from the Peaceful Moments stamp set from Stampin' Up and then Melon Mambo. If you don't have these, then you just need to find a stamp that will fit in a 1.5 inch circle. And you can choose whatever ink color you would like. Black would work. Lots of options for colors, of course. So there's your happy birthday. And that is going to glue directly on your arm. About, I don't know, about that far away from the side. What is that, 5/8 of an inch maybe? Maybe 1/2 inch. It'll just glue on like that. And that's your arm. Now there is a stamp that would work there as well. That is in the same set that we're using. This card that we're making is showing off the Nothing's Better Than bundle. So in the bundle, there is a stamp that says you make everything better. That one will fit in that circle, so that's an option. And there's lots of other options in this stamp set, but of course I couldn't use all of the stamps because you guys don't have these. So I needed to be more generic with the stamps that I choose. And then I'm using the dies that coordinate. So I'll show you, or in your kit, you will have seen actually the dies that are there. So that's kind of exciting if you have the kit. Okay, so then let's attach our arm. That's the next piece. So on your L shape, you're going to put adhesive only on this section here, okay? So I'm just going to put adhesive on that bottom horizontal section. And then your arm is going to attach so that it's flush with that section on the bottom and the left edges. They'll be flush with that. So it's going to go on like that. And again, if it helps, you can actually get away with laying that flat. Once you make sure that your position is good, you can lay it flat and then press. So remember, we don't want adhesive on this top portion of the arm. We want that to move freely. So then it will slide like that. So because I'm using Tombow, I want to make sure that everything's connected well. because it does take a little bit longer to dry. If you have tear and tape, that's another great option for attaching everything. Okay, so that's our working mechanism with the arm attached. So next we're going to add the piece, we're going to work on the elements that go inside the card. So this piece here. So I'll just set that aside and bring in all of those elements that you need to work with here. So you have a piece of Bumblebee cardstock. You have a piece of embossed Melon Mambo. This is embossed with the Brick and Mortar embossing folder, which is pretty cool. I really like it. Brick and Mortar embossing folder, and then you will have a smaller piece of plaid. This is 1 inch by 2 1/4 inches. And you have a piece of Cinnamon Cider Designer Series paper. This is from the 6x6 Designer Series paper pack of the In Colors. And there's lots of different patterns in that. So I just cut this with my 1 1/2 inch circle punch and then took a bite out of it with my 1 1/2 inch circle punch to create a cookie. Now, of course, if you have the stamp set, you can make your own cookies with the die and the cookie stamp, which I think are pretty darn cute. The other piece you need is this 3x4 inch piece of Melon Mambo cardstock. All right, let's assemble. Oh, one other thing you're going to need is your cookies word taken out of your adhesive sheet that I've prepared for you. So this is the adhesive sheets are kind of like a big sheet of, what do you call it? Dimensionals. So foam sheets, and you can put your paper on top and then glue, like attach it on top to the sticky side, run it through your embossing or your die cutting machine with your dies, and it will flatten that and cut right through to the other side to create popped up letters, which I love. I think they're the best thing like since forever. So I'm really excited about those sheets. So I wanted to share those with you. So you will need the cookies, and save the letter or the dot from your I, your letter I. You need that dot too, so don't lose it. So I'm going to pull this out and have it ready as well. So let me, I'm going to pause the video on my end so that you don't have to watch me pull all of this out, because it's going to take a bit of time to pop out all those little inside pieces that are in the O's and the E and S and all that. So let's pause. All right, the magic of television. Woo, 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 woo. Now we have the cookies ready to go, and my letter I, oh, you can't see it, but it's up there waiting to be used. Okay, let's assemble. So we're going to put our Bumblebee cardstock in the center of our Melon Mambo, the larger Melon Mambo piece. And then we have the smaller Melon Mambo piece. It's going to go in the center of that. So if you're keen on measurements, the larger piece is 3 inches by 4 inches. The melon, or the smaller Melon Mambo, is 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then the Bumblebee is 2 3/8 by 3 3/8. And then this piece of plaid is 2 1/4 by 1 inch, and it's going to go a little bit higher than center. And then our cookies, cute little cookies. We can peel the backing off if it didn't happen to come off by accident when you pulled it out of its casing off the sheet. I'll peel away backing. And then that's going to go just slightly below the patterned paper. So just a little bit slightly below, so that it's kind of centered. And this can be a bit tricky because pieces want to go down before I'm ready. There we go. Cuteness. And then my eye is ready to go as well. So cute. I love that so much. Okay, and then our cookie that I created here, we're going to just put, if you have glue dots, if you have dimensionals, you can pop a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. And that cookie can just kind of tuck over to the side like that. And then that's our inside piece. So then the next thing that we want to, let me zoom out a bit here, a little closer. The next thing we want to do is attach this to the inside of our card. You know, this is kind of cute all on its own, and I wouldn't mind actually just enjoying this as a card on its own. It just says cookies. I just made cookies. I think cookies is a very valid front of a card, don't you think? Okay, so the next phase we want is to attach this to this 1-inch box that we've created. So we're going to put adhesive right on this 1-inch, the left side of this box. If I can get my adhesive to behave. So that, whoops, and then we'll attach, so that's the only thing that's going to hold this on. And we want to make sure that the arm will not show underneath when this flips open. So we're going to make sure that our Melon Mambo is low enough, right, that it will cover that arm up. And then make sure you check it, that it's all in place. Okay, I think that's working. My arm is poking out the bottom, so I don't think I can shift mine yet, or down much really. There's not a lot of wiggle room. There's a little bit. Oh, maybe that's enough. Make sure it's stuck down really well, and then we can work on the front of our card. So how cool is that, right? Pretty cool. I like it. So for the inside of the card, or sorry, the outside of the card, there's a few things that you will need. You will have, so if we look at this, in your kit you will find one piece of Sahara sand, and I've split them into two, but you'll find that there is 3/8 of an inch, 3 3/3 of an inch square piece of Sahara sand cardstock, and then there will be a 3-inch by 3-inch piece of the Plaid Designer Series paper. So what I've already glued mine together because I had cut it apart previously. So, but for your sake, you'll glue them together, and then you're going to cut them apart at 1 3/4. Right? Let me just double check. Yeah, 1 7/8 would actually be good. So 1 7/8, and this one will end up being whatever is left over. All right, so those pieces are going to glue on the front of our card. And when you attach these pieces, you want to make sure that you have an even border around the sides and the top, and that it is like straight. Unfortunately, with anything with linear patterns on it, it's really noticeable when they're not straight. And then your other piece that you've cut, you're going to attach it on the bottom. Again, making sure it's straight. And last time I did this card, I couldn't get it straight to save my life. So what I'm going to do is use another piece of paper, a straight piece, as my guide so that I know that it's going to be straight with this piece up top, just to get me started here. So then again, make sure that it's even border around like that. And we're coming along nicely, wouldn't you say? I think so. Okay, now in your kit you have another piece of Melon Mambo with the Brick and Mortar embossing already done for you. This is a 2 1/4 inch punch that I used to punch this one out. And then you're going to take your letters that I have die cut for you, and you're going to take the time that you need to pop those out. It's a little fussy, but seriously, I think it's so worth it. So I'm going to pause the video again and pop those out so that I can have those ready for you, and you don't have to watch me fuss with it. So you can pause the video too and pop yours out if you haven't already done so. All right, thank you to the magic of television again. So now we have all of our letters. So you can lay them on top so that you kind of know where you want them before you commit to gluing them down. So for me, I kind of just make sure that the U more is kind of centered, and then the love is slightly to the left and the then is slightly to the right, just for balance. But you can do it however it works for you. So like so. So then, whoops. Then you can peel off your backings and commit those babies down to the paper. The cool thing about using these die cut letters is that they can actually, you could actually curve them if you wanted a little bit, because they have a little bit of give. That could be a cool way to do the lettering as well. There we go. Okay, now we have a bit of a problem because there's some sticky elements on the edges of our card. So a really easy way to deal with that is if you have an embossing buddy. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell them anymore, unfortunately, but if you have an embossing buddy, then you can just tap that powder onto those sticky parts, and the powder will stick, making those a non-issue. If you don't have an embossing buddy, I've heard people use talcum powder or cornstarch, just something that will stick to it instead of it sticking to things that you don't want it to stick to, like cat hair or something like that. There. All right. So there's our Love You More. Then on the back of that, we're going to attach some twine some linen thread. I've given you 25 inches or so of linen thread, so you can cut that into 2 pieces. Just cut it in half. Oops. Sorry, camera shake, too many cords. And then you're going to make 2 loops, or 2 loopy bows, I should say. Like that. They don't have to be perfect, but you want them to be big loops. Because what you're going to do then is fold it in half to create these kind of tassel-y things, like that. And then that's going to attach to the back with a dimensional. Or 2 if you need 2. So one's going to go right about there. Use a couple dimensionals to get it into place. And then the other one, oops, fold that one in half. And again, that one will attach. With dimensionals. Okay, and then those dimensionals are going to help you attach it to your card front. So now you can peel off the backings. And that one doesn't want to behave. Why? Why are you not behaving? Oh, silly thing, you. If you find it's not behaving, you can easily attach more dimensionals or glue dots or something to hold it in place. And then that's going to adhere. And I like it so that the U more is kind of in the center in between our 2 pieces of paper. Our 2 pieces of Designer Series paper. And that's going to be centered like that. And then we're almost done making this adorable card. The only thing left is some rhinestones. So again, in your kit, you will have 3 rhinestones if you have a kit. So 3 rhinestones. I just placed them like that, and then it's done.